Oh, that was
What up?
terrible. We'll do it again.
It's all good.
All right.
Hey, we in the beginning stage.
Now we rocking along. What's up, y'all? Welcome to Inside the Silo. My name is Hyram Bautista, and I'm rocking with Mr. Marlin Tyrell.
What up, what up, what up?
Today, we're going to be talking about the inauguration of our president of the United States of America, Donald Trump.
Yes.
And it was a fantastic day. That's what I'm going to start with. Monday, it just felt like a burden was lifted off of our nation, and we moved into a new chapter. How do you feel about it?
Man, it's interesting that you say a burden was lifted off our nation. You know, shoot, a burden was lifted off me. I felt the burden lift off of me.
Yeah.
I couldn't wait. And the reason why I couldn't wait is because I was a guy that voted against Donald Trump in 2016. No. 2000 and this is crazy. 2016, I didn't even vote.
Oh,
I was
wow.
like, I'm not voting for nobody.
Yeah. That was a hard election.
That was a hard election.
Yep.
And then in 2020, I was like, you know what? See, the issue is I was blindfolded about all this black stuff, right? I say Negro stuff. I'm gonna say this Negro stuff. That's what we're gonna say.
Yeah.
And you know, I was challenged in 2021. I started getting challenged about like, you know, why did you vote for Joe Biden? And what I realized is because I was living in East Texas is, believe it or not, and obviously the statistics proved, there's more black people that are with Donald Trump than not. There's more.
Like today in this election or the previous election?
Today in this election, even the previous election, right? We don't really talk about
Yes.
the rural area black, Mexican, minority people. We don't talk about the people that's working in the oil fields.
Yes.
We don't talk about the farmers. We don't talk about blue collar workers. It's all about the suburbia area, white collar workers. But you know, man, I was excited. I was at work.
Yeah.
And I was watching it on my phone, and to see the lack of better words, the aura that Trump had the whole day.
Yeah.
And then he changed the game. He changed the game because this is the first time, I believe, if I'm correct, that a president, actually did inauguration inside. And
I think it's the second time.
Second time,
But
Okay.
it hasn't been done in a long time.
a long time. Who was the last time to do it?
I think it was Jimmy Carter, if I'm not mistaken. Jimmy Carter was the last person, if I'm not mistaken. It was like in the 70s, somewhere around there. And the only reason it happened was the same reason. It was cold outside. But they're telling us it's because it was cold outside this time, but I don't think that was the real reason. I think it was more so security. Don't get me wrong, it was cold, but the security that needed to be conducted this time around was very important.
Well, I can touch on that security because I have a friend, I have an inside man. One of my really good friends, he's like a brother to me. He's actually a Secret Service member working for Homeland Security, and he protects the White House. And I asked him, I said, yo, what's the likelihood? Like, how secure, how safe is it? And he was like, man, I'll be surprised if anybody tried anything.
Wow.
That's how secure they had it. But I guess, you know, you can't really cover every corner outside because there's so many open spots.
Right.
But, you know, yeah, I guess.
I mean, thank God nothing happened. Let's start with that, right?
Yeah.
So thank you, Lord, that nothing happened. It could have gone, you know, very differently based on what we saw the assassination attempt on his life earlier last year. And then not only that, there was multiple attempts. But, you know, there was a lot of rumors swirling around the internet, you know, people saying, hey, be careful because there's going to be all kinds of attacks or whatever have you. And then, you know, now we're starting to see a couple of days later that there's people that are protesting. They're not happy that Trump's in office. He's passing all these different executive orders into law. And that's what we'll talk a little bit about today, too, is maybe some of those things that we're seeing. But overall, I will say that this inauguration was very patriotic. You can really see America being talked about as a priority when you talk about the country.
Yeah.
The people seemed very happy, the people that were there. Now, I liked how it was like the left side was his family. I don't know if you noticed that when he first got inaugurated, the left side was his family, his cabinet members, and the right side were all the former presidents. And then you had Joe Biden and Kamala at the front. I don't know if you noticed. When he was speaking, they were all sitting down on the right-hand side, but everybody else was clapping, standing up. But he did it differently. Before he was going for the jugular, like right then and there with very hard words.
Yeah.
But this time he was more so focused. I don't know if you caught it, but I felt like he was more so focused talking about what he was going to do right away that was different. Not necessarily, hey, they did a bad job
Right.
and they didn't do this and that right. But I loved it, man. I thought it was great.
It was great. And to piggyback off that, he stands for putting America first.
Yep.
And that's what we lost in the last presidency. Putting the American interest, the American nation, the American people,
Yes.
the mom, the dad, the grandfather, the grandmother, the little kids that are growing up in elementary school
Yes.
all the way through college.
Yes.
Putting the American nation first.
Yes.
We missed that. We missed the American nation being put first because you can see all these things. Like, it's crazy the past 4 years that people are against their own nation. Well, how about this? Their own race.
Yeah, that too.
Their own race. The American, I'm talking about the American race.
Yes.
Not the African American race, not the Dominican race.
Yes.
No, the American race. You can go anywhere else in the world and they have a sense of pride for
Yes.
their country.
Absolutely.
You can see the sense of pride for our country was very, very low the past 4 years. And thank God we didn't get another 4 years of it.
Yeah, no, for real. You can even tell on social media, we were getting attacked for being Americans. I remember going through all kinds of comment sections in different videos, and you see people talking about how Americans are so offended and always like, on edge. And it's true because even in the corporate workplace, you can't talk about politics. You can't talk about your country. Here we are as a country the last 4 years sending all this money overseas to other interests except for ourselves. So,
Yeah.
man, I remember it was like last year. I don't know if you saw the post, but it was like a guy who saved his Walmart receipt from like 4 years ago, and he compared it to the groceries today.
Oh, snap.
And it was 4 times as much as Walmart receipts.
That's right.
Same exact things. So, as my liberal friends have been messaging me lately, they're like, I'm ready for the prices to go down. That's what they're saying. The groceries, they're ready for the groceries to go down.
Oh, they're Republican now.
And for the most part, they're going to see, that there's going to be a shift. There has to be a shift. Why? Because if we're putting America first, well, that means we're putting people first, the everyday interest, like you said. So we're considering those families, those hardworking people that need to save this money so that they can have a future.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man, it was a great inauguration. I guess let's get right into it. Talking about the executive orders. So maybe. I know there's a lot of people that might be listening to this podcast and they have no idea what's going on. Maybe they're not so tuned in, but I guess let's start with birthright citizenship. What are your thoughts? So what I love about our podcast is that it's a Black man and a Hispanic man, and we're bringing 2 unique viewpoints because our communities are similar but different. Obviously, we're both minorities, right? So we have a similarity there, but we're still very unique in many ways. So what's your thoughts on birthright citizenship?
Well, if you're born here, then you're a citizen of America.
That's what it's been for
Right.
all this time.
So, and he talks about how easy it is that illegal immigrants will come over here and they'll have a child, and now they're an American citizen, right? And I get that. I get it, man. I get it. Some of y'all are trying to get away from a bad situation, but there's a way. There's systems and processes of getting into another country. I can't take my black tail to another country like Russia or Germany and just think that I can smuggle myself in and have a child, and now my child is Russian. Nah, man. I think that's good that he's going to get rid of that. I don't agree with that. I think if you come over here legally through the right system and processes and you are working for your citizenship, and then you find somebody you love, or you bring your wife, your family over here. How about this? How about once you guys come over here legally and you get your citizenship, now we can reduce the citizenship length,
Yeah.
Now you can officially say that your children are citizens of United States of America. And the reason why I say that is there's too many illegal immigrants in here that are unfortunately taking so many jobs.
Yep. That's true.
And they're pushing out Americans out of work. And I get it. Some Americans are lazy.
Yeah, some don't want to do certain jobs, especially the blue collar work.
Blue collar work. I'm a blue collar worker. I've worked in corporate. I've had my own business, and I work in blue collar right now. So I think the president, I think Donald Trump taking away the ability to become a citizen just because you're born here and you got over illegally. I think that's great. That's going to shut down a lot of illegal immigrants coming over here. And I also think another thing is the simple fact that if you come over here illegally, because that's one of his first executive orders too, is to shut down this. First of all,
closing the border.
He closed the border in a matter of minutes. It was a phone call.
Literally minutes.
That told me that just told me that, hey, the Biden administration didn't care.
No, they chose not to do it. Right? They had a decision they could have made, and they could have closed the border if they wanted to, but they had a different view, and Trump saw things differently, and so did his party. Right? And
what do you
declared
think?
A national emergency concerning birthright citizenship.
Yeah.
It's, somebody recently reached out to me, a cousin of mine, and, they're not Republicans, they're not conservative, they're liberal. And she said, hey, what about your parents? How does that make you feel knowing that your parents possibly would have been deported had this happened 20 years ago? And I thought about it for a second. I was like, man, that's tough because perhaps I wouldn't have been born here. But then I thought about it and I was like, wait a second. My parents got here legally.
Yes.
And the law that Trump passed states that if you're a resident and you have a child, that child actually becomes a citizen. So that wouldn't have affected me. I still would have been a citizen like I am today. I think the issue that people are trying to evade is that we have an illegal immigrant problem.
Yes.
And I was explaining this to somebody on the phone earlier, somebody else. I was saying, yeah, we have a lot of really good people that are illegal immigrants. And it sucks that we have to put everybody in one bucket together. We can't just pick and choose who gets to stay. That's the hard part about this situation. Now, me knowing people that have gone through that process of being illegal and then became residents.
Yeah.
Right? They went through a process and now they're here. Thank God everything's good. These are great people.
Yes.
So thinking about the law being enacted today, if I had a choice, it'd be like, well, if you've been here longer than 5 years and you've contributed to society in a good way, you've paid taxes or used an ITIN, right? I think it would be wonderful if there was a solution for you to stay in the country and continue to work your job and do whatever you're doing to contribute to society. That's not up to me. That's out of my hands. If I was involved politically, I would strive for that because I do understand that part of the American dream started with immigrants.
Well, let me ask you. Well, the American dream is an immigrant country. First of all, let's talk about that, right? The Americans came over here.
Yeah.
Illegally.
We are immigrants.
We are immigrants, so we understand that. But let's take the liberals' perspective. Let's do the tiny 1% or the small percentage. Say somebody is over here legally and they are contributing to society, but they undercover are drug dealers, and you'll never know, like a ghost off of Power or something like that, right? Or say they are kidnapping and raping kids, or they're kidnapping and murdering people like a Dexter.
Right.
Like you just don't know, right? So I like the fact that hey, if you get caught, look, I have a friend that told me if you come over here illegally, don't get caught. It's fair game.
Straight up.
It's fair game. If you come over here illegally, don't get caught. But if you get caught, you're getting kicked out. Because for real, if you would you let somebody break into your home?
Absolutely not.
You would defend your home.
Of course.
By any means necessary.
By any means necessary.
It's the same thing here in America.
That's what we need to do. Yeah.
We need to defend our home. And I saw a video. I don't know if you sent it to me or somebody, but this guy was dropping off.
Yes, yes. Fantastic
He
video.
was dropping off some illegal immigrants that was
Yes.
working for him at one of these guys' homes that was talking about, hey, this liberal guy, like, hey, you should let the
Yes.
immigrants come in here, whether they're legal or not. And he went to go drop them off.
Yes, yes.
And he was like, well, let them stay with you. And he
Yep.
was like, well, what do you mean? He's like, hey, I got so and so.
That's
and
right.
let them stay with you. And the dude was like, nah, man. He was like, hey, man, get y'all bags and come over here. And they start walking into his house, and the dude was looking crazy.
Yep.
Because he wouldn't let anybody just come into his home. See, when it hits home, it's a little bit different. But when it comes down to the nation, you can care less. So I think that was a good executive order. That and shutting down the border.
Yeah.
What you think about that, shutting down the border?
The border, I think that was fantastic. We have to consider that we have so many drugs pouring in. We have people that could be covert operatives. We have rumors, and I don't think they're rumors at this point. I think it's true from enemy countries that are coming through the southern border, not just Mexicans or South Americans or Central Americans that are potentially affiliated with gangs and narcos and all these things. But man, we're literally having an open border that affects the way that we have, just life in general.
Yeah.
I don't want to have the potential run-in with somebody who's here legally and then they can't be identified should they commit something, egregious or evil towards me or my family. So I'm good. I'm good on that. I think that it was a good move. I think that we should have a wall because at the end of the day, what is a country without a border, without protection, right? But I do think that we need to consider, and I think this is a part where we need to do a good job at as conservatives. We need to still have empathy. We need to be able to understand that families are being split up. That is truly happening. There are children that get into our country, yet their parents are not with them and they're split up because these parents are illegal, right? So we need to be understanding of situations and show empathy. That is one thing I think we need to do. Not saying that we don't do it either. The issue is we can't find a middle ground right now because we have to have a firm stance for the sake of our country's protection. It reminds me of this show that I'm watching called Silo. Not endorsed, by the way. I don't know if you've. I
haven't seen it
Inside
yet.
the Silo and Silo, it's literally they're doing everything to protect the people in the silo, and some of these things are not the best feeling, or they don't seem the best, but it's for the interest of the people and the silo itself. That's how I feel about our country's situation with illegal people. And while I agree that it's better, and I think that we should do it, it's still a tough situation.
My in-laws are legal immigrants. They came over here legally, right? So, by the way, my wife is Iranian. She's Persian, and she's first generation American, her and her siblings. And to hear some of first of all, they pro-Trump. First of all, let's just get that out the way. They pro-Trump, and unfortunately, they don't like Democrats because they understand what happened to the Shah. They understand the history. So if you know your history, you should look it up. All right. And when you think about it, when you come over here, when they tell me the stories how they got here and they came over here, and there's a lot of stuff that was going on in Iran at the time with the fall of the Shah, and then coming over here, there's so much tragedy. And you made a point that America needs to show empathy.
Yeah.
I get it. I really do. But it's the parents' fault if your children get separated. It's you got to take ownership.
That's good.
You got to take ownership because I get it. I can't fully relate, but I get it. Like you're looking for a better life, and America stands for what?
Freedom.
Freedom.
Yeah.
Life, liberty, and freedom.
Justice for all.
Justice for all. Okay. The home of the free and the land of the brave.
That's right.
Right. So we get it. At the same time, you have to, as a parent, because I'm a parent, you're a parent now, even if we had to run.
Yep.
Even if we didn't have our ducks in order, wherever I go, my family's going. If if I can't make it, my kids ain't going.
That's
either.
right.
Even if we're in danger, you know what? As a father, as a provider and protector, I'm gonna do whatever it takes to protect them, even if it costs me my life.
Yeah.
So, I get it. These kids are being separated from their parents, and I've seen some very horrible videos. But the reason why that has to happen is because, like you said, somebody has to lay down the law.
Yeah,
So it's the reins are tight right now.
for sure.
And it's because of the last administration.
We've had lawlessness.
Lawlessness.
So it's like finally there's law and it doesn't feel good having some stricter policies, but it's going to overall help us. We just have to be willing to embrace and apply. So I'm with you on that. And for the record, I'm totally in agreement with the border being closed.
Yeah.
But that's a good thought. I didn't consider the importance of how the parents play in. I've heard so many stories about how parents were willing to risk and sacrifice themselves in that sense so that the child could have a better life. But now, as a parent of almost 2 children, right? I have one on the way. I could see why I wouldn't potentially put my child, my sons, ever in that position where they're without their father and their mother.
That's a bad.
So that's
a
maybe not the best decision, but we also don't know their situation.
No,
so
we
who
don't.
knows? But as parents, as
I
fathers,
can't see myself doing
we
it,
couldn't
man.
see ourselves doing that. I'm with you. Let's quickly go into another executive order. Trump said there are only 2 genders and that the federal government will only recognize male and female. And then he also has put all DEI employees in the federal government, diversity, equity, and inclusion
Yes.
employees, on leave, and he's terminating their positions. What's your thought on that?
Great. I would do the same. Here it is right here. What is a woman?
That's right.
What is a woman? There's only 2 genders, male and female. That's all it's ever been. What happens is this society and the government will try to indoctrinate the youth. That's all it was.
Mm-hmm.
It's indoctrination.
That's right.
Indoctrinate the youth. If you could change the mind of the youngest generation 21 years later, 18 years later, when that generation can vote, or 10 years later, however long, when they can start voting, they'll start changing the landscape, right? So I think it's good because we got to he said we're going to get back to what? Common sense.
Common sense, yeah.
Common sense. Common sense. And we're going to start producing male and female, husband and wife households.
Yep.
Not wife on wife. Ain't no such thing as what. Matter of fact, everybody that got married, you need to get I unmarry people. Hey, I would unmarry people straight. I would terminate.
Oh man.
See, that's just me though. I would terminate every. Can we? No, we can't say that. We can't say that. I would terminate every illegal marriage. I'm gonna call it that. Certificate.
Yeah.
Because you can't. 2 women can't raise a child, a girl or a boy, because a girl eventually is going to need a father, and a son eventually is going to need a father, and a son is going to eventually need a mother. I was looking on social media the other day, and there were 2 men that were married, and they were they were raping these 2 children that they adopted, and they're going to prison for life.
I did see that.
You saw that?
So sad.
They were raping, and now these 2 little boys are going to be in society, and that's all they know is to be with another man. That's all they know is trauma. That's all they know. And now they've indoctrinated in them those kids, and those kids have seen what they've seen. And now you got to try to help them unseen what they've seen. And yeah, they're going to go to therapy, of course, but they need more than therapy. They're going to need some Jesus.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, at that point, you need to find, God and get some help through that, because that's traumatic and just pretty much PTSD. Really, is what you're going through. A different kind of PTSD than what military, fighters experience.
That's terrible.
Yeah, I mean, it is terrible. But I am glad that he did address that on day one. I thought it was important.
They shook some
because
boots.
there's been indoctrination for the last 4 years. How do we shift quickly to maybe put the country back on a straight and narrow path towards remaining holding family ideals. When BLM happened, remember when
Yeah.
BLM happened? So the whole movement of BLM, and just in case anyone's wondering, we're very close to some people who were involved in the BLM movement. So we're quite aware of the story behind BLM. But Black Lives Matter, when you go to their website, there was basically a kind of mission, and it talked about destroying the nuclear family. Do you remember that?
Wow.
It basically made a comment talking about how they're looking to change the nuclear family, which is between a man and a woman.
Yeah.
And when you consider God created us male and female, and
Yes.
He created us so that we would be husband and wife and create a family that are led by a father and ultimately by the wife submitting to the father. That was God's plan of doing things. And when you just take that out, we see detriment. I mean, we see the effect. And that brings me to, and I know that you know this topic well because we've talked about it. What happened in the 70s and the 80s when the black father was pulled out of the family, out of the household, and what is it called? I'm sorry, I said child care. When the fathers were just there, and basically mothers were receiving money from the government, welfare, and all these things came into play.
Yeah, WIC.
Man, the black
Food
community
stamps.
basically was when you really think about it, the black community was changed forever when that happened. And when I think about, and I have to say this, I know it's funny, when I think about my white friends that are very successful, one thing I always notice is that they have a 2-parent household. And because of that, right, I see a different level of success in their lives.
Absolutely.
In the black and Hispanic community, it's harder to find a 2-parent household. You are a product of a 2-parent household, which is wonderful. I didn't have that grace, but I'm still grateful that I have 2 lovely parents that are still in my life. Tell me a little bit about what your thoughts are when it comes to just the nuclear family, how important that is, and why Trump did this and why it would benefit our country.
I think you hit the nail on the head. I think that's exactly what it's all about. Keeping the standard of a nuclear family. Okay, this country was found on godly principles.
Yes.
So when you have a country that's living in lawless in rebellion, when you get away from these godly principles, you start seeing lawlessness. You start seeing rebellion, i.e. Black Lives Matter. You start seeing the nuclear family becoming destroyed. You start seeing 75, 85% of black men in prison. You start seeing children growing up without fathers who then become a product of their environment and then get into prison. They want to blame the drugs. You could put drugs in the society, but if you have a father in the household, the father is strong enough to keep the son away from drugs. Mm-hmm. If you put a father in the household, the father will direct the son the way they should go.
Yes.
If you put a father in the household, he's going to provide and protect. It's in our natural, innate ability to do things like
For
that.
sure.
So what I think about it is, I'm glad that he's doing it because it's going to force the father to be at home, right? It's going to force more people. It's going to destroy the deception that you can get married to a woman and have a nuclear family. A woman could never be a man. How do we know this? Well, go look at that Olympics when that girl had to box that dude and she was getting her tail kicked. All respect to women, you can't hang with men.
Yeah.
You can't hang with men.
I mean, the swimmer, for another instance.
Leah Thomas.
Leah Thomas.
Is that her name? That's his name.
Yeah. I don't know.
The dude.
I forgot.
Mr. Thomas, whatever his name is.
Riley Gaines.
Well, Riley Gaines, she lost.
Yeah, she lost to him.
In
the pool. Because he,
you ever seen Joanna Man?
No.
Yo. For everybody that's ever seen Joanna Man, that's exactly what it is. It's a dude that couldn't succeed in professional basketball as a man, so he became a woman. to succeed. It's definitely something up here that's
Yeah.
they call it mental illness, but I think it's something even more than that.
Yeah, I mean, I know that part of the. I don't know if Trump said it was his goal to classify it as a mental illness. I don't think he's ever used those words, but I do know that there are a lot of people that are in the Republican Party that want to go that direction. They want to classify transgenderism as a mental illness. And I know it's a hard conversation for many people. We just ran out of film, so we're gonna keep the audio rolling for the next couple of minutes. But we ran out of film, but that's okay.
Clip it up.
It's a hard thing for a lot of people to like. It's a hard pill to swallow, essentially.
Yeah.
But man, it's clear the way that God made us. You're only XX or XY. There's no other chromosomes. So why do we try to change that? We're just trying to gratify the flesh. We're trying to please ourselves, man. It's a crazy society we live in.
It is, and I'm gonna be quite frank. Look, I went to the doctor on Monday just to get a check, because I was feeling some pain in my rectum, and I was telling my wife, "Well, I told you yesterday I felt violated because he had to put his finger in my butt.
Hey, man.
It was nasty. I'm being honest with y'all, man.
The camera's off. It's rated R right now.
Yeah, I'm being honest, man. And I felt violated. And I told my wife, I said, I don't know how a man could do this.
Oh, man.
A man could do this to a man. I just, Lord have mercy. I would never, ever desire to do something like that to another man. Because, hey, just this Dr. Finger hurt, first of all. And I felt, I walked out feeling violated. Man, I didn't feel right for a few days. I took 2 showers.
Oh, my goodness.
So, like, when you think about it, and when you really, really think about how God created perfection, marriage to me is like perfection. Mm-hmm. I love my wife. I love being with my wife. I love touching and feeling my wife.
Yeah. She's different. She's soft. She's not the same.
Fellas, do you
rough.
hear?
Yeah.
Do you hear that, fellas?
Mm-hmm.
He's going somewhere. She's soft. She's not rough. We're the rough ones.
Mm-hmm.
And
she got curves.
Got curves. To all the young men out there, the idea is this. You want to grow up and be a great young man. You want to establish yourself as a young man. Mm-hmm. Hiram knows this, right? And then you want to become what first? A husband.
A husband, yeah. A son, a brother, a husband, a father, and you want to be excellent at all of those for sure. But being a husband is such a privilege.
Yes.
He who finds a wife
finds a good thing
and obtains favor from the Lord.
Amen.
100%. But I'm grateful that Trump prioritized that because it was a big piece of the direction of our country. So it's good that he addressed that. Right before we wrap this up, man, what other EOs, executive orders, have you heard that really stood out to you, if any more other than those?
One is, matter of fact, I was looking at this the other day. I'm going to share it. Hold on one second. Which I think is very unique. Oh, man. Sometimes we got, you got to look this stuff up.
Yeah, you good.
So here we go. I was looking at this the other day. So one of the orders is the tariffs.
Yep.
Because I want to talk about some money.
Yep.
The tariffs. What do you think about the tariffs and how first of all, we invested over, you said $500 billion.
Yeah, it's $500 billion that are being invested to form a new company. It's called Stargate, and the focus is around AI. So you talk about $500 billion. That's a lot of money.
But yeah, what do you think about the tariffs?
Trump actually, has done a lot economically in the first few days. He revoked a couple of things that Biden had put in place, such as the EV. Make sure that all the cars are EV and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So he's shifting the country economically in a good way. I do know Canada's upset. Canada is super upset. I don't know if you saw, they kind of said that they were going to retaliate if we put a tariff on them. And Trump said that by February, we would have tariffs on Canada. Now, I will say this.
what kind of threat
What
is
is Canada
Canada
going to
gonna
do,
do?
first of all? What is
Yeah,
Canada going to
sit
do?
y'all butt
Yeah.
down before we make y'all a part of America
What is Canada going to do? That's another question. But, on
or
that
United
note,
States.
or the U.S. has been giving away a lot for a long time. The U.S. has been very diplomatic and trying to help other countries achieve democracy, a fair democracy.
Yes.
And because of that, we've given away a lot. And so you consider the Panama Canal, we had 30,000 men, American men, die for it to be built. And then guess what? Panama is basically telling us that we have to pay them way more than other countries like China to use the canal for our trade routes. So here we are. We're getting screwed over, so to speak, by these other countries, such as
Yes.
Canada. And the U.S. is not looking out for itself. And because of that, the U.S. is suffering. We're in trillions of dollars of debt. The first thing Trump thinks to do is use an old plan that worked from a previous president, because Trump is not the first president to use tariffs.
No, he's not.
He's always shouted out the previous president. I forgot his name. It's not coming to me right now. That used tariffs, and he used them effectively.
Was it?
The president before Teddy Roosevelt. I forgot his name right now. But anyways, I think it's a good thing that we're doing this, because right now, and by the way, people should know this, we're going to see an increase in pricing on certain things. No doubt about
William
it.
McKinley. That's what it was.
William McKinley.
William
Yes,
McKinley.
William McKinley. And we're going to see an increase in prices on things. I think groceries are going to go up a little bit. I think gas probably won't go up because we're drilling. But I think certain things will go up in price. Cars are going to end up going down because we're looking to start building cars locally here in the country again.
Yes.
So there's going to be things that will go down in price, and there's going to be things that will go up in price. Overall, I think the country will see a benefit over the next 4 years.
Yes.
We're not going to see it today. If the next president continues with the same plans that Trump is rolling out today, we're going to reap the benefits tenfold. We're going to see way cheaper everything.
Yes.
It's going to be way better for us.
Because it'll be a thriving America. America is it's built off of free market America. It's built off of capitalism. When you take that away, you choke out the abundance for a country. So to put the tariffs on, I think that's fantastic, right? Because if you want to get a piece of what we got, we gonna get a piece of what you got. You're not gonna keep making cars, vehicles in your country and then sending them over here and taxing the mess out of us. Trump's like, no, we're not doing that. China,
Yep.
we're not doing that. You guys gonna pay up.
That's right.
And he's gonna stimulate the market by creating more jobs. I love it. He said we're gonna create more vehicles than we've ever made before. That's fantastic. Americans are gonna get back to work.
Yeah.
We're not gonna see more. We're not gonna honestly, I'm gonna be honest with you. I want to see what you think about this. I think let me see. Do you think that the homeless rate will slow down? The homelessness rate will slow down.
Yeah, 100%. I think so.
Why do you think so?
I think that, number one, Trump is starting to change a lot of economic policies, and that's going to affect people. And that will probably affect even homeless people. I know that he just made the federal government go back to work in the office 5 days a week. And that's going to affect a lot of other people, especially corporate employees. So it's going to drive work in general. It's going to drive work. And not only that, but there's a lot of things he's looking to do, tax breaks and all these other benefits. People are going to start working again. Homeless people today, right now, they're benefiting in many ways. I mean, of course, their situation is very unfortunate, but they're benefiting in many ways that the government has been able to allow them to be homeless.
Yeah.
I remember hearing last year that in California, they were providing drug users that were homeless with needles and different things, giving them
Oh, wow.
the ability to do drugs. That's ridiculous. So
Wow.
Trump is like doing the complete opposite. He's saying he's going to send in the National Guard or send in, the law enforcement to make sure that we're cleaning up the streets of these cities that deal with homelessness and drug use and all these substance abuse things. So I think we're going to see a huge shift because of law enforcement, but also because of mandates such as return to work in the office, and also the ability to create a stronger economy. People are going to want to work because you're going to make more money.
Yes.
If okay, TikTok is another kind of conversation here.
Yes.
A lot
it's
of
a
people,
huge conversation right now.
A lot of people stopped working because of TikTok.
Yes.
Not saying they're homeless, but people have started working on their social media, on their phones.
Right.
And so they've stopped working a regular job. People are working more than one job, working remote jobs. And shout out to y'all. I mean, y'all been making it happen. I'm not even mad at it. Like, go for it.
Yeah.
But society has shifted. I work in corporate America.
Yeah.
People don't even turn their cameras on in meetings anymore. People don't even talk during meetings anymore.
Disconnected.
They're just completely disconnected because they're so connected with social media. They're so focused on other things. So I think what's going to happen this administration and this couple of years is we're going to see a shift. And Trump had this on lock when he was president the first time.
Yes, he did.
The first few years. When COVID hit, is when it all got jacked up.
Changed the game.
It all got
COVID
jacked
hit
up.
his last year.
COVID hit his last year, which was his most important year as president.
Yeah.
Because it was going to determine his reelection. And COVID
perfect
really jacked him up.
Perfect timing.
Perfect timing. It got him so good that he couldn't win because people were upset. And I think they were more so upset with COVID.
Hey, do you think they cheated?
On the election?
Yeah, 2020.
So I think that the election was rigged.
Do you think he lost?
I think the election was rigged, but
Okay.
I think that he lost. But I think the election was rigged. I think that there's too much evidence that the election was rigged. And you have to consider all the stuff that has come out over the last couple of years. Why did Biden pardon his family, his entire family?
Entire family.
Why did Biden pardon all these people? It's because there was something that happened.
He
He pardoned himself. Practically.
The liberals said this before he even pardoned. They said it months ago. If somebody pardons, because they were talking about Donald Trump, if somebody pardons somebody, that means you actually did the crime. You're confessing that you did the crime.
Yeah, you're giving them the ability to be forgiven from it.
Yeah, because if they didn't do the crime, then they can go through the judicial processing system and they'll be found not guilty. Nah, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, something was on that laptop that they ain't released it yet.
Mm-hmm.
Something was on that. I don't even think the Mueller report really shared everything. Right.
I mean, they found cocaine in the White House. I mean, all kinds of crazy things that they found.
How you find cocaine in the White House?
I mean, so, just on that front, I think that we're going to see a shift work-wise, and that will affect everything.
Yeah.
You were telling me earlier about that video you showed me, which was a great video of the gentleman who was talking about how women will stop getting child support.
Yeah, we don't know if this is official.
This is not official.
We don't know this, but this is a good idea.
This is an idea.
It's an idea. So check this out.
So essentially, you have women who have been receiving child support from the father of the child. The couple's not together; they're separate. And the man, right? Obviously, he's giving all this money away. And guess what? On top of that, the woman, the mother, is also claiming the taxes, right?
Yeah.
Now, what's the proposed change?
Well, the proposed change is this: that if the woman is putting a man on child support, what's going to happen is, okay, you put him, that said baby daddy or baby father, however you want to call it, on child support, he gets to claim the child on his taxes. So if the man is paying you $300 a month for a whole year, that's what, $3,600. He gets to claim the child, and the child may bring him $6,000. I don't know. How much is it per child?
The $6,000 credit is what they're saying they're going to do now.
So boom. But you think, the math don't math. You think that woman's going to give up $6,000 for $3,600. No, not at all. So it's going to force the man and the woman to communicate. It's going to force them to get, matter of fact, it's going to force people to think about before they put their pants down and put they stuff in each other.
Yeah.
Well, how it goes. But, it's really, because It's sad.
Yeah.
It's really sad that it has to come to this because two grown people can't mediate themselves. Two grown people can't compromise and come to an agreement for the betterment of the child. I get it. People make mistakes.
Yeah.
I get it. You're in lust. You're in the heat of the moment. Things happen. Look, I've done it before. I ain't never had a child out of wedlock, but I've been in the heat of the moment, right? And the Lord blessed me with a wife still. Thank you, Lord. Yeah. So I get it. And we, society, people have these children out of wedlock, and now the father doesn't want to be with the mother. And I would say to the man, don't be with a woman that you don't want to live the rest of your life with. You're ruining her and yourself and your family because now you have children out of wedlock. Now your child is growing up in what we call brokenness. It's a broken home. So they're growing up in that spirit of brokenness immediately. And what happens is now the child is playing a tug of war between mommy and daddy their entire life until they die. Until they even when they have their own family, it's still a tug of war. Yeah. I mean, Harm, well, I don't think it was like that for y'all, but for your parents.
No. When my parents got divorced, it was very simple. I stayed with my mom. My dad was still around. I saw my dad all the time. I mean, I'd hang out with him on the weekends, but it wasn't a tug of war. My dad allowed me to stay with my mom. And there was a time where my mom kicked me out maybe twice, and I stayed with my dad for a couple of weeks or a week.
So they had a good parenting, co-parenting
But they did a good job co-parenting. It wasn't like they just ceased communication and hated each other. They were very cordial, and they allowed me to still have a relationship with both of them,
Yo, have you ever seen... this is crazy. I was on YouTube, and I watched a clip of... I think this is like Atlanta Housewives or something. I don't know. But one of these girls was so grateful that she got a divorce from an ex-husband.
I did see that.
Yo, and I know who the guy is, too. I just can't think of his name. And she was like, yes. She was crying, yes.
And then the lawyer tells her about the child support.
You ain't getting no money.
You got no money.
And the tears went away.
And she was like, what?
The tears went away.
No money?
She was in it for the money.
Oh, she was in it for the money, 100%.
So, yeah, I think, honestly, what you think? You think it's a good idea that the woman, if you're going to force him to get... I think that's a good idea. If he's going to pay you child support, no matter how much it is, they get to claim the child. At least they get some money back from there. That's an investment because 9 times out of 10, I get it. Most women don't use that money for the child. It's not for the child. It's for the lifestyle of the parent.
Depending on how many, children and how much money is being given. I know that child support is relative to the earning of the father.
Yes.
So, or the mother, depending on the situation, right?
Yeah, it could be flipped.
It could be either way, right? But I think we need more co-parenting, and I think we need it to be done in a way that's going to benefit the child. So I consider myself, my parents got divorced at 12/13, somewhere around there. And having two parents in my life still was super important. I never heard them complaining about child support. So that was cool for me. I never had to deal with them kind of arguing about money ever. Yeah. But however, they were both tight on money. Like they were both going through it. Like they didn't have a lot of money when I was in high school, and it was just really me in the house. But yeah, man, there's a lot of interesting things, And by the way, as we're recording this, today's only day 3 of Donald Trump's presidency, so there's still a lot more to come.
It's a lot more to come.
I'm excited for instance, crypto. I know that he talked a lot about crypto during his campaigning. He's talking about executive orders that he wants to do. He's put the right people in place in the SEC and just different places, advisors that he has regarding finance. So I'm excited for that. That's going to be really good.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of other executive orders, things that are, being talked about right now. So many different things. I'm excited, and I know we're running out of time here, but anything else that you wanna share before we wrap up?
We're in a new year, 2025. Everybody's made their New Year resolutions. People have set their goals. I just want to tell everybody, whatever it is that you want to get accomplished this year, in the next 4 years, run. Get it done. because we don't know how the next 4 years is going to be. We've had a sample size of Donald Trump. He's already doing much better. There's a different grace about him. Different grace. He's much older. What is he, 8 years older now?
Yeah, he's 8 years older, but he's also keeping his word.
He's keeping his
The
word.
things that he said he was going to do, he's done. And even not just his party, the Libertarian Party. I don't know if you saw that. One of their top requests, the Libertarian Party, was they wanted a pardon for Ross, the founder of Silk Road. I don't know if you saw that.
No, I didn't see that.
He got 2 life sentences plus 40 years, and the kid was like 25 years old when he got this. So he's been in prison for like, I don't know how long it's been, like 5 years, something like that. It was like 25 years old when he went to prison. And Trump pardoned him yesterday because he said he would do it for the libertarians that wanted to vote for him. So even he's doing for people that are not even in his own party. He's looking to provide unity, and a lot of people don't believe that. They don't see that, but I do.
Yes.
We're seeing it by his actions. He's doing things that are going to help our country. So I agree with you. This is a good 4 years, especially economically, to get our goals accomplished.
Yeah.
We have to seize the moment. There's a lot of good, positive momentum for our country. Last presidency from Trump, we didn't see the backing from Mark Zuckerberg or Jeff Bezos or even Elon Musk.
Yeah, they were against
This
him.
time, they're with him. Tim Cook gave $1 million for his inauguration fund. So did Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, and all these other individuals that literally were against him. And not only that, but these people are even coming out and talking about what Biden and their administration had them do.
Yeah.
Right? You saw Meta talking about how they were being censored.
Yes.
So it's good. It's a good time. Like, we have to seize the moment. We got to catch the wave, man. We got to flow.
Yeah. So I think this is episode 2?
Yeah, this is our second recording, but we're going to drop this first probably, actually.
Yeah.
We're going to drop it because this is, a special time in our country, and people need to know what's going on. And I know a lot of people don't listen to media, so this will be a good way for them to kind of get caught up listening to us. But
this is the new media.
This is the new media.
And we changing the game. We changing the podcast landscape. I'm telling you that right now. It's going to be starting with silos. So we changing the game. Stay tuned in. We have much more to give you guys, much more to come. And it's going to be an exciting journey. And we're grateful that you guys are joining in with us. And you're going to capture a piece of our lives too. You're going to capture a piece of our lives and how we came together. You know, this is a relationship of 3 years and a few months, but this relationship is like forever.
Yeah, for sure. And make sure you share this with a friend. Send this to a friend. Man, let them know that you found value. If you did find value, make sure you subscribe to the channel. You know where to find us, inside.the.silo on Instagram and YouTube. But yeah, we're super excited to continue to build these podcasts, these silos, and man, we're gonna keep rocking. So, Marlin, as always, appreciate you, my brother.
All right, brother.
Yes, sir. Be easy, y'all.